Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Who's Who in Harrisburg. I think we have a very interesting show for you today. We have someone on the show today who is well known in Harrisburg, who is known also for being passionate, for being committed, for, let's say, telling it like it is, at least as far as he sees it. But today we have someone who I think you'll know well, and that is Mr. Boyd. Mr. Boyd, would you like to welcome and say hello to our guest?
Well, good afternoon. What an honor and a pleasure to speak to the people of my great city.
Well, great. Well, thank you. The first question, this show is trying to give people a glimpse of what's behind the face, the people who are making the news. And clearly you've made news in our city. You stand up at city council meetings. You are always in the midst of the controversy, trying to help sort it through, offering your perspective. But first, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, beginning with your first name?
Well, my name is Mr. Boyd. That is my first and last name.
So Mr. Boyd is simply good enough.
That's
okay.
great. That's great. That's who I am.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Were you born in Harrisburg? Did you move here?
Well, I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Done a lot of things, numerous things in the city. I participated in a couple riots within the city.
Riots?
Yes.
Really?
So I am one that knows the city from the north to the south, the east, and the west.
So you're talking about when you were a young person,
when
during
I was
the
a young
civil
person.
rights movement,
That's right.
I guess. Okay.
So when I look at what's going on in the city now, it reminds me of the time in the era of the civil rights movement in the 60s.
Which part of the city did you grow up in?
Mount Pleasant, also uptown Harrisburg. At a time I lived in the south side. That is why I always remind people that I am from the city of Harrisburg. Most people think that I'm not from the city because I don't meet that sort of kind of pattern that they think that's from the city of Harrisburg, which is not true.
I see. Okay? Well, do you want to share with us a little bit of your family background?
Well, my family background is my mother got killed here in the city.
Your mother was killed?
Yeah, stabbed here over 26 times, directly where the mission is in Harrisburg. My father,
was that?
Well, in the late 60s. My father also got assassinated in this city and was thrown in the river here in the city. So I come from a sordid background with a lot of crime.
Now these were crimes, and were the people responsible?
Well, the one person was that was with my father's death was apprehended, and they were incarcerated at a time. But that is not. That is one reason why I do what I do, because I am a person that is passionate about the underdog. I do believe in justice.
Yeah.
I do believe in the Constitution. I do believe that everyone has to have a chance. That's me.
Mr. Boyd, how old were you when your mother was killed?
I was around 8 or 9 years old.
So you were a child.
That's correct.
And your father?
And
how old were
when
you?
my father died, I was around 21 or 22 years old. I come from a very big family within the city. I have a big family.
Okay. And they're still living in...
Yes, but the only thing with me, I don't depend on my family. If I would mention certain last names of this city, you would be shocked who I'm related to.
Really?
Yes. But then once again, I don't depend on my family per se.
You're independent.
I'm independent, and I have been a loner for a long time.
A long time.
Right. And
through your youth, or
through my youth, and also the way I am now. But education-wise, I am very well educated. I'm very articulate.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
You clearly are very well educated.
Right.
You clearly are articulate, and I would say you're probably well read.
That's correct.
So can you talk about your early education and your first profession? Because you would impress me as someone who probably was a professional person before you became this full-time activist.
Well, once again, my sister, I must impress upon you and the people of our great city that hold the power within the city of Harrisburg today. Law, certain things that I know about law and the American Constitution, and also people that happen to take advantage of people that know nothing of constitutional law.
So you were a lawyer?
No, no, I will never say that.
You were a paralegal.
I,
You had something to do with the law.
I know about the law. That is why you see me. I stand back on many situations. I do push buttons with people, but I do believe in the law. I do believe in legality. My biggest complaint about our great city here is that people do not understand that they are impinging on people's civil rights. And that really gets me very upset.
So you clearly, you like to stand up and
Right.
speak on behalf of those who you believe can't speak for themselves.
That's correct. That's me.
And so let's talk about that. We know you, and I've seen you speak on
Right.
behalf of the homeless
That's
people in
correct.
this area. Now, talk about that. Were you ever homeless once? You say you're not now, but were you homeless perhaps at one time?
I gave up what I was doing in Washington, D.C. on a dare.
Okay.
Right. So,
We've got a little tidbit there.
right, a
So
dare.
you were once in Washington, D.C.
That's right. And
You
I-
know about the law.
That's right.
And you gave it up
I,
to come back to Harrisburg
come back to Harrisburg on a dare.
on a dare.
Someone said that you are from the city of Harrisburg, isn't that correct? I said, that's correct. You know, there's a problem with the city of Harrisburg with how they're treating the poor and homeless. This would be a great opportunity for you, Mr. Boyd.
How long ago was that?
That was about 7.5 years ago.
Just 7 years ago.
But then again, I also reviewed things 2 years prior to that they didn't even know that I knew about what was going on in the city of Harrisburg.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So you once were working in Washington, D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
having to do somehow with legal issues.
That's right.
You decided about 7 years
That's
ago,
right.
which is actually about the time I came to
That's
Harrisburg.
correct.
I didn't know how that
That's
happened.
correct. That's
and
correct.
you decided that you would now speak up for the homeless.
Right, right.
Now, tell me about how you got the passion for homeless people and just a little bit about what you know about that situation here in Harrisburg.
Well, I believe in people's civil rights. I do not like people that makes it very hard for people that cannot do for themselves. The whole thing about this great city, if you're not from here, you can receive. If you are from here, you are rejected. I could not understand that. So when they informed me of that, I said, I can't believe that. But I went homeless myself.
You did. You
Yes.
decided
I
to
went
see
home.
what the experience
That's right.
was like.
I experienced
Right.
it. I took everything out where I was, and I changed my life completely
Right.
for a period of time.
But no longer. Now you at least, because you always are dressed well. Yeah, I don't know what the turban represents. I can tell you in some cultures I know what it represents, but I don't know to you. What does the turban represent?
Well, my heritage
What is
and where I come
your
from.
heritage? But what is that heritage? Do you have, because you also speak Spanish, I understand.
That's correct.
Do you speak French too? A little bit?
That's correct.
Okay. So
Creole?
you are
Yeah.
Creole.
Creole, yes.
Okay, so what does that say?
That-
Do you also, I think you mentioned you might come from the South or have some relatives in
Oh,
the
yes.
South.
Yeah,
in,
Georgia.
in
Yeah.
Georgia?
In Georgia.
Okay.
yeah.
So tell me about your heritage a little bit.
My heritage is African American and Indian and
Indian?
Indian, but
Native American Indian or India Indian?
Indian,
Okay.
not India.
Okay.
But most people think that I possibly could be India, from India.
Correct, correct.
That's not correct. But
Okay.
then again, I still have a little bit of living in different cultures. Every language that I've spoken, I have lived with those people in order to absorb their culture and to understand what their plight was. That is why I speak 5 languages.
Five
fluent,
languages. Wow,
Fluent.
that's wonderful.
Fluent.
That's wonderful.
So I understand what they are going through. I understand their plight. Like I always tell someone, I never open my mouth about anything
Right.
that I have not experienced. That is why the plight of the homeless, I sometimes take all of the robes off and sleep in the streets with the homeless.
Really?
Because there are people that will ask me personally, what can we do to help the homeless?
Well, clearly what you're doing is keeping that issue at the forefront,
That's
which is
correct.
very good.
That's correct.
Let me ask you something. I want a little bit more about you as a person. When you look and see that what you've achieved and where you're going, what do you want people to know? I mean, what is it that you think has been your greatest gift to our city, to our region? And what do you hope to achieve going forward?
To
our city, or your greatest achievement for wherever you've been.
Well, to wake the city up, to wake politicians up, instead of them saying, which I still get, there used to be a time 7 years ago that I would go into the chamber here in the city of this council and they'd tell me to get out. Don't come back. If you do come back, you will be arrested or you will be escorted out by Harrisburg
Why do you
police.
think they did that?
Well, because one thing, the truth hurts.
So you think they didn't want to hear the truth?
That's correct. And
do you think perhaps sometimes you might have been a little intimidating? No?
How can a small man of my size intimidate anyone?
So it was just that you were passionately expressing
I'm very passionate, and I'm persistent. There is an old saying, if you keep persisting, you get your way.
So is there anything more you think people should know about you? When they see you going forward, they know you're Mr. Boyd.
Right.
They now know that you clearly are educated. You're doing things with a purpose.
That's correct.
What else do they need to know?
That I must confess that I'm a Democrat.
Okay.
So
not a Republican.
Not a Republican.
A real Democrat.
I'm a real Democrat.
And what does that mean to you?
Well, that means that I believe in freedom, democracy, even though we may live in a republic, but I'm still a Democrat.
I got it.
Okay.
So one last question. As you look ahead and you see the city, do you plan to stay here? And if so, what do you see the future being?
I plan to stay in the city of my birth. As I said to you, I gave up something in Washington that could have made me very, very, very powerful. Very powerful.
What? What was it?
But then
you
again,
won't tell us.
But then again, wealth and fame doesn't mean anything to me. I'm sure as you see me walking through the halls of Dr. Martin Luther King Center, you see how I hold my head up.
Yes, you do.
Very up, even though I am denied and the poor and the homeless in this city are denied. But I still hold my head up because I know one day, if it is not in this administration, there will be one administration that will say that they have to help the homeless. Even in this administration, there have been people that have said, we need to have a shelter here. We need to help.
Is that what you're looking to try
That's
to?
what I'm looking for.
That's your goal.
And we need, first of all, to take care of our own. This city is known as a haven for the homeless. They come and they flock in this city to be fed, to be housed. But we will not house our own people.
So what you're searching for going forward, your mission is that there will be a haven for the homeless in Harrisburg.
That's correct.
Something that is welcoming,
That's right.
that everyone can go to.
That's correct.
All right.
That's me.
Well,
Okay.
I join you in that, and I do hope that going forward we will realize that dream. It's a worthy dream.
Okay.
All right. Anything else to say?
Been a pleasure, been a great pleasure. Abuelita, gracias, mi amiga.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
De nada.
Okay. And thank you, muchas gracias for you as well. And I look forward to seeing you again on Who's Who in Harrisburg.